Hello and welcome. I'm Mehrotra. You are watching 5 Live. Over the next 1 hour, we'll bring you stories that demand your time, your attention, stories that should ignite you. And also, since this is 5 Live, at 5:30 every day, we bring you stories to inspire your healthiest, happiest lives. So stop scrolling. Let's get started. Let's tell you what's lined up on the program today. First up, we've got Vijay breaking his silence on the Karur Stampede, justifying that he left Karur to de-escalate the situation. He also says that he never faced something as painful. He has now asked the Chief Minister to target him and not his people. Then we've looked at multiple arrests in the Vijay Stampede deaths. Now, TVK netas and functionary arrested. The content creators have been held for insightful posts. And EPS now saying that the arbitrary arrests have been made in this case to hide Stalin's failure. The other big story we are breaking here on 5 Live. Election Commission has released voter list for the special intensive revision in Bihar. The SIR, as we keep calling it here on India Today. Final electoral rolls have been published. EC says voters can check their details in the voter list through the given link. What exactly is the link? We'll take you through that on the show. And then there is India's biggest terror fight let down. Chidambaram reveals how UPA terror in action. The former HM has admitted that UPA buckled under global pressure. Mantri Rijiju has attacked now Congress's 2611 kid glove approach, saying the contrast that we now face compared to Operation Sindoor under Modi. There's also the exclusive scoop that we've got for you in the molester Baba probe. Sleazy Swami's debauchery out in the open. Baba took a selfie with the air hostess, stored snaps. Baba also took screenshots of the girls' DPs. No remorse. He continues to go on with his brazen lies. The tariff fights, meanwhile, have turned filmy. Indian movies, Bollywood faces 100% Trump tariff. The diaspora to pay more for Desi flicks. And also box office revenue set to be taking a hit with that. The news also coming in of Prime Minister Modi backing Trump's new Gaza plan, describing the 20-point proposal as a viable pathway to long-term and sustainable peace in the region. Hopes for all concerned parties to come together behind Trump's initiative. Meanwhile, let's tell you what's happening in Pakistan. Civil unrest has gripped Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. Thousands have taken to the streets in Muzaffarabad, in Mirpur, in Kotli and Neelam Valley, demanding abolishment of 12 refugee seats in the assembly. Meanwhile, in Canada, let's tell you what's happening there. Ugly racism has peaked in Canada. Deeply racist anti-India posts where the Indian national spots have turned into offensive images. This woman that you see on your screen right now was caught on camera abusing Indian Canadians. All this while Mahatma Gandhi's statue was vandalized in London, disturbing graffiti on Gandhi's statue in London. Indian High Commission has condemned it and also raised the complaint. Let's take you through some more news updates coming in, this time on SIR. The Election Commission has now released the revised voter list of poll-bound Bihar after conducting the special intensive revision. The number of voters in the final voter list of Patna's district has actually not decreased, but increased, but by 1.63 lakhs compared to the draft voter list. The draft voter list released on August 1st, 2025, that's today, showed a total of 4.65 lakh voters in Patna district. And now the total number of voters there is 4.81. It has gone up. Now, special intensive revision, or SIR, as we keep calling it, the process has obviously faced criticism from opposition parties. EC had dismissed the opposition claims of biased approach towards any political party. But how are we to take in account these numbers? How are we to assign and sort of ascertain what this really means, because the number hasn't gone down. It was supposed to be a deletion process, a revision process. It has actually gone up. Of course, we're looking only at the Patna district and not all of Bihar as of now. Let's take this forward with my colleague Sneha joining us now from the newsroom. Sneha, quite amazing, no, that we all thought that numbers will be excluded. That's what the political parties kept saying. But the number has actually gone up. How are we to make sense of this?
Well, yes, Sonal, first of all, I'll just take you through what the Election Commission of India has said as far as the voter list here is concerned. Their advice, this is the URL where you can check it up wherever your name is, if at all it has been deleted or not. But this is how you go about it. So voters.eci.gov.in is the URL. This is the URL that has been given out by the Election Commission of India. So this is how you go about checking if your name is there in the list or not. And remember, it is, of course, only for the state of Bihar, controversial as this drive really was. It's limited to Bihar as of now. So once again, let our viewers just get a sense of this URL. It's voters.eci.gov.in. Search your name in the draft roll. This is how you go about doing it. So you select a state. The only option that drops down is Bihar, because it's only Bihar. Epic number, of course, in that card that you have, the captcha, and then you submit it. For those others, in fact, interested or who want to go about doing this, essentially, they can do it in a different way as well. I'll try and get a sense of that too at this point in time. But this is one way you can, in fact, select the district and then get an idea of whether your name is there in this entire list or not. So this is the suggestion really in that sense from the Election Commission of India. This entire issue, the SIR revision drive, has caused just so much controversy, just so much heartburn. And of course, we're expecting it to move forward. If it does, if there are no legal hurdles also in that sense, there will be similar rules for, in fact, different other states moving forward.
All right, Sneha there taking us through how exactly you can check if your name has finally been revised and put into that, if you vote in Patna district, that is. But like we said, this is not just about Patna, it's about all of Bihar, which is going to poll soon. Let's also take this forward with my colleague Rohit Singh joining us live from Patna and Aishwarya Paliwal joining us from New Delhi. Rohit, to you first. Too early to say perhaps, but are political parties saying anything about this just yet? How are we to look at this revised list at the moment?
Well, Sonal, let me give you a small clarification as far as the Patna list is concerned, because what we know is that when the draft list was published on 1st of August, almost 4 lakh names were deleted. So out of that 4 lakh names that were deleted, then came the claims and objection period. And now after that claim and objection period is also over, and now that the final list is out, we are seeing that there has been an addition of 1,63,000. Means that out of 4 lakh whose names were deleted, only 1,63,000 have been again added to the voter list. It means that there is almost 2.5 lakh voters whose names have been deleted in Patna. So that is the case. And so names have been deleted. It's not that names have not been deleted. And as far as on the 1st of August, the draft voter list was published, across Bihar, 65 lakhs voters' names were deleted, and now we are expecting that after the claims and objections period was also over, and now that the final list has also come out, there is a likelihood that there could be some names that may have been added back, so that the figure of 65 lakhs name deletion is likely to come down. But as far as the overall list is voters is concerned, in the Lok Sabha election, there were 7.94 crore voters in Bihar. But that number is very certainly likely to come down for the Bihar Assembly elections. Back to you.
Got it. Rohit, so what you're saying is that this is now the final list. No more revisions will be allowed on this one. If you've not made the cut to this list, that means you cannot vote in this Bihar election. Is that clear?
That is not exactly the case, Sonal, because still the Election Commission has given some time period for the voters whose name are still not able, they are not able to find in the final voter list. They have at least 10 days more time to file, to submit their application for registration as a fresh voter. So there is a, it cannot be said that whose names are not in the final list, they will not be able to vote in the elections. 10 days is the grace period, you can say, that has been provided to voters who wants to be enrolled as a fresh voter. They can do that in the next 10 days.
Got it. And Rohit, is this entire exercise happening only online? I wonder how many people in Bihar will have access to internet to go and check and ensure that their name is there or fight for it. Like, is there any other way to do it apart from the website that Sneha just showed us?
Well, see, Snohal, rather than the voters going out and trying to find out, now the responsibility and the onus is basically on the booth level agents of the political parties, because this list has been now released assembly wise. So now the booth level agents of the political parties, they will have to go through it, all the lists, they have to scrutinize, and then they have to find out whose names have been deleted, whose names have been added, and they will make the voters also know about this, that voters whose names have been deleted. So basically, the onus lies on the booth level agents of the political parties to find out that how many voters in a particular assembly have been enrolled, whose names figuring in the final list, and how many names deleted from that.
Got it. Thanks, Rohit, for all those clarifications over there. Aishwarya is also with us. Aishwarya, the chaos of a Bihar election has begun even before the elections have. Like I said, one wonders how many people will have access to tech, how many people will, in our day-to-day life, and voting percentage is anyway so low, how many people will go and check and recheck and fight to actually make that vote count? Any idea on how, for all reasons now, clearly the political parties, the opposition at least, is not going to be very happy about it.
Well, let me tell you what the opposition will do, Sonal. The opposition now will make sure that each and every BLA now goes to each and every household, and they bring this draft, they bring this roll along with them. They check the names of all those that have not been done. And as our colleague Rohit was also pointing out, the next 15 days are very, very crucial. Just in case you do not find your name on the list, there is a provision through which you can upload your documents and you can give it to the Election Commission. The CEO of Bihar also is now personally being told by the Election Commission of India to make sure that just in case you do get these kind of requests, you need to speed up the process. And there are chances that we could see some names further being added. Let me tell you, the last SIR in the state of Bihar was done 22 years ago. And that's the reason why we are seeing such huge numbers. A lot of people who have shifted, they have 2 voting ID cards. It's not something that they have done because they want to vote at two places, but it just happened. A lot of people are dead. So that kind of thorough revision was something that was not being done. And this is just the big thing. So let me tell you, we will see the SIR taking place across the country, in the state of Assam, in the state of Tamil Nadu. Those are the next states where we will see the SIR process taking place. For the opposition, the BLAs now will have to hit the ground running. Sonal.
All right, we'll leave it there for the moment. Thank you, Aishwarya and Rohit, for joining us with the very latest on that story. Only the final list for Patna district is out yet. We'll have to see how it sort of expands all across Bihar. 10 days notice period if you have not made the cut just yet. Also getting more updates on the Vijay Stampede story coming in from Tamil Nadu. Now remember, just a while ago we saw Vijay's emotional statement come out. We reported about it, and now a response has come. Tamil Nadu government has issued a counter to TVK saying that Vijay's claims on rally venue are actually false, saying that government has now countered the whole situation, saying not prepared for crowd charge made by Vijay and his party. Let's try and understand this a little bit in detail with Anaga joining us live. Now, Anaga, make sense of these claims and counter claims that we are hearing from both sides now.
In fact, firstly, the IAS officer Amuda is now giving explanations as to why this particular Veluchami road was allotted, because there were a lot of claims that this particular road was not really a good choice of venue, and that the administration deliberately gave a narrow and constricted road while declining TVK's earlier claims of a better road, and that was Lighthouse Roundtana. So it looks like this the IAS officer has given an explanation. I'm just going to read that out for you. In fact, she says that they first gave 7 locations, out of which the 26th location was allotted for the leader of opposition Edappadi Palaniswamy last week when he had his campaign. It was at the exact same spot where around 10,000 people came. This particular rally went around really well. There was no chaos, no stampede, and ADMK's political rally at the same venue went fine. And that seems to have been the thinking behind why they gave TVK's Vijay the same spot. In fact, they also said that TVK had initially asked for a lighthouse round Tana, but there was a petrol bunk that was very close. There was a petrol bunk and a water body, a canal, that was very close to the location that TVK had asked for. And that's why the police had declined giving permission for this particular road. That's the lighthouse round Tana. And instead, they gave permission at Veluchami Road, which they say was big enough. In fact, they also, another claim against the ruling administration is that the authority could not gauge the crowd, but the letter they and that seems to have been the reason why there was a stampede. For that, the administration has given an explanation as to the TVK. It was the TVK first who mentioned in their letter that only 10,000 people would gather, but instead 20,000 plus people gathered, which made it all the more difficult for crowd management.
Got it. Clearly not the last you've heard on this story just yet. Thank you so much for joining us with the very latest updates on the story. All right, let's move on from that and bring you some more news. Did you know that every hour in India, 3 people are murdered, 3 women or girls are raped, and nearly 10 people fall victim to cybercrimes? We are talking online scams, threats, and even harassment. These aren't just numbers. This is the reality, and it's crystal clear in the Crime Records Bureau report. The Crime in India 2023 report. Remember, they run late. They're only calculating 2 years behind as of now. So you can only imagine what the numbers would be like at the moment. It's finally released, the National Crime Records Bureau, after months of delay. And the report, considered the most comprehensive snapshot of India's law and order situation, does more than just tally cases. It mirrors how cybercrime is rewriting the meaning of safety in the digital age. In 2023, according to the report, cybercrime cases jumped 31% to over 86,000. That's nearly 10 cases every hour. The highest cybercrime case, nearly 22,000 in the year, were reported from the state of Karnataka, followed by Telangana, where just weeks ago, a 76-year-old retired doctor died of heart attack, remember, after being the victim of digital arrest. We had covered that story right here on 5 Live. Now, the NCRB also says better reporting and easier FIR access have led to increase in the case numbers. But make no mistake, cybercrime in India is exploding, and the rapid rise of digital offences underscores the latest and the biggest challenge for India's law and order, which is largely just playing catch-up, never ahead of the curve. Now, as per the NCRB report, cybercrime is the fastest growing category of crime in India, and this number should shock you. Nearly 70% of the cases of cyber fraud are the ones in which click, scam, and gone. All your life savings are vanished in seconds. But it's also not just money. Thousands of other cases are of online sexual exploitation, stolen intimate photos, blackmail, fake job offers, and online stalking too. Crimes that leave victims financially trapped, emotionally scarred, and threats that haunt them 24/7. A lot of them don't even get reported. Remember, these are just the official figures. The digital world has become a new battleground, but the laws and police can't keep up because online criminals are faster, smarter, harder to catch. So, NCRB's latest report there isn't just data, it's a warning sign. And cybercrime is no longer just a threat, it's a fast-growing crime in India. We constantly keep telling you here that you've got to stay alert, you've got to stay skeptical of anything that is too good to be true, and most of all, do not stay silent. Talk about it, report it. If you have nothing to be scared of, trust the authorities that they will try and get to the bottom of it. Well, those are the figures right now, but let's quickly cut across to our expert on the story. Jitin Jain is with us. He's a cybersecurity expert. Jitin and I have spoken for years now, talking about cybersecurity. For years, we've been talking about it. It's the biggest sort of scam that faces us. It's the biggest problem that we face online. It impacts everybody. Doesn't matter the gender, doesn't matter the size of your bank account, doesn't even matter which city you are from. It's sort of everywhere. Doesn't matter if you're a banker, doesn't matter if you're a politician, doesn't matter even if you're a journalist. It really is getting after anybody and everybody. So Jitin, as we look at these numbers, what is your initial understanding? One thing is very, very clear, that the highest growth in any kind of crime in India has come in cybercrime. But the minute I say that figure, the police is going to say that's only because reporting has gone up. This is exactly what happened post Nirbhaya on rape cases, when they said now people are talking more about it, so please don't blame us. It's just that people are reporting more. That's why the statistic has gone up. This is the play of numbers. Do you agree?
Yes, I agree, because you see, the rise in the number of reported cases should be welcome, because you would have seen in last decade or so, first until up to 2013-14, police officials were hesitant to, receive any cyber cases. Because they lack the capacity to investigate. They have no idea how to seize and do the forensic of devices, how to carry out investigations. Forget about prosecution, or even then accused being sent to behind bars. So, with the large training modules which have been imparted to police personnel across India, you now see in last 4 or 5 years that, especially in cities like Mumbai, Delhi, or and South Indian states like Karnataka and Hyderabad, police have become more tech savvy. They are more inclined to register cases. They try and investigate even if they're not able to prosecute, but they do try and investigate and recover your money. But the problem is, see, this whole digitalization of our society and economy post-COVID has become a double-edged sword. On one hand, Jan Dhan accounts, Aadhaar card, Aadhaar email, KYCs, the largest penetration of mobile phones in any society, which is in India, availability of high-speed internet has, given such, great pleasures to our society. We can do remote education. We can, do all these subsidy applications online. Corruption has gone down with transparency for tenders. Everything has, the public service delivery has essentially gone in 100% automated online mode. But what has happened, with more and more people logging in on the online devices for the first time in their lives, especially senior citizens, people living in remote areas, who may have wealth but may not have cyber hygiene education, they are falling prey to scams every day. Now, there are three kind of scams. The 92% of 94% of any kind of cybercrime which is reported is financial frauds, OTP frauds, Ponzi
70%
schemes.
actually according to NCRB, but I understand what you're saying. Yeah.
Yeah, the recorded data is always 10% of what the actual crimes are.
Yeah.
And they are the people who are able to report. We are talking about the people who do not even know where the police station is. So in my, the studies we have spoken to, almost around 94-95% cases are of financial frauds. Of those 95%, 94% do not find any, final conclusion, because you're not able to prosecute or find the, accused. So only 1% remains solved. And out of that 1%, there is actually any prosecution and punishment. So this is the figure. Now, 94%, Sonal, you will be shocked to know, 87 to 88% are scams which are less than 5,000 rupees. Now, when you scam a person, for a rich man, like, some people use con 1 or 2 lakhs, it is just a setback in his life or a loss. When you steal 5,000-10,000 rupees from a poor farmer in a village, there is so many sacrifices. You're not stealing money, you're stealing dreams, future. And they are the people who do not even know how to write a complaint, forget about filing an FIR. They do not know how to lodge a complaint in 1930. These people have... So, and they don't report, they just lose the entire trust in the digital ecosystem, the dignity, and their lifetime savings.
But Jitin, I have last few minutes, so I want to ask you this. On one hand, when we look at this, the most important here is that we now have, when you call someone, they tell you about fraud par mat phaiye. You have connections now, Airtel, for example, which is coming out and say that we will call it a scam alert. You have banks who are now saying we've enrolled people and we will not allow all of this. But none of this is really working. We're always playing catch up.
All of this works for rich people, not for 3,000 rupees poor farmer who's losing. So this is one. Second, obviously, if you look at 1930 helpline, 22 lakh complaints. Tell me how many people are manning that helpline? Not even 1,000. That's the problem. Two, society is young. You're falling for this clickbait, extortion scams. You randomly get a call from beautiful girls, exposing you to nudity, and then they take photos, a screenshot of you in an intimate position or in a nude position. Then they blackmail you. Now, blackmail does not end with money. carries on as a perpetual extortion because you are then scared to report because you want to save image in society, family, and friends. So the bigger and more dangerous the scam, there is less likelihood of it getting reported. And people commit suicides, people end up giving life savings. I have known people in friends and family circle who have given lakhs of rupees because somebody sitting in Pakistan conned them into some digital arrest, this digital fake courier scams. And then so extortion and this digital arrest scams are now on the rise, and they are very, very dangerous because they wipe you off your entire dignity, life savings. And I think we as a society are completely struggling to catch hold of these people who are operating out of our country. So I think we need to spend heavily on digital cyber education for our society. We need to empower our police at a public scale.
Yes, we should. And I think what's required also is the fact that we can't let everybody fend for themselves, because this is not a problem that can be
Maybe
tackled
next
by
India Today
individuals.
conclave should also be on cyber. Should have a module on cyber like you do on health and wellness.
Very good idea. I will take it up with the management, and I think that's a great one. We should do an entire conclave only on cyber fraud and cybercrime. On that lovely sort of advice that we've got from Jitin, let's show you another flip side of digital extortion. In this new age of digital extortion, companies are also bearing the brunt, from beer and cars to clothes and flights also. Yes, I'm still talking about cyber attacks and sort of accelerating at an unprecedented pace that they are. They're hitting the biggest names in business, not just in money, but in consumer trust as well. Don't believe me? Well, look at this report and then you will.
Japanese beer giant Asahi has been forced to halt production at multiple plants after a cyber attack crippled its systems. From beer to whiskey to soft drinks, the company's order processing, shipping, and even call centers are down, with no clarity on when operations can resume. It's the latest in a growing wave. Earlier this month, Britain's biggest car maker, Jaguar Land Rover, shut down all 3 factories after a cyber breach. The Tata-owned luxury automaker, which makes about 1,000 cars a day, has been losing nearly £50 million a week as suppliers struggle and thousands of staff remain idle. Retail giants have not been spared either. Marks & Spencer, one of Britain's most recognised names, reported losses of around £300 million after a damaging cyber attack earlier this year. From retailers to airlines, cyber criminals are striking high-profile targets across sectors, disrupting operations and shaking consumer confidence.
Think of it like a digital break-in. Instead of a burglar entering your house, it's someone getting into a company's network. The attacks can range from phishing emails trying to trick someone into revealing passwords, or to ransomware attacks that lock up all the files on a computer system until a payment is made.
Security experts warn the threat is global, costing over $20 billion a day. Attacks aren't just locking up files, they are stealing sensitive data and using it for extortion.
More and more, we're seeing this disturbing trend where they're shutting down operations by deleting or otherwise getting into our applications. And so it's not just ransomware, but it's extortion, where they use that access, the locked up files, the information that they've stolen, and they hold that above us and they say, hey, if you don't pay us, we're going to leak your sensitive private information, and we're not going to get out of your network, and we're not going to let you unlock these files.
For businesses, the risks go beyond downtime. Disrupted sales, damaged customer trust, regulatory penalties, and shareholder lawsuits all add up.
Hackers are getting in because of simple mistakes where companies simply aren't locking the front door or, closing the windows. And what I mean by that is remote access, right? We all set up remote access to facilitate our employees to come in and connect from home while they're on the road, et cetera. Too often, companies aren't securing this, which is creating that entry point for the attackers.
And now, Attackers are arming themselves with artificial intelligence, from deepfake videos to faster phishing campaigns.
The good news here is that we're also seeing a sea change on the defense side, where there is technology that's bringing in AI capability that's allowing defenders to see the signal and the noise. So to look at more information and have better visibility across the network, but see the threat in real time and take action faster.
From beer and cars to clothes and flights, cyber attacks are accelerating at an unprecedented pace, hitting the biggest names in business. A new age of digital extortion, where the cost is counted not just in money, but in consumer trust. Bureau Report, Business Today TV.
Welcome back. It's Health O'Clock, and today's news story pick is really going to be very fascinating, I'm sure, for a lot of you. Ozempic is now in India. Ozempic, the global blockbuster and one of the biggest names of drugs, forget just weight loss drugs, has officially now got the green light to enter the Indian market. India's drug regulator, CDSCO, has approved it, but not for weight loss. That's a headline, remember. Instead, the approval is for type 2 diabetes and also for reducing the risk of serious heart problems and even kidney damage. Now, that's a first for India. Also, remember, India already has similar drugs with the same molecule available in the market. There is Wegovy, mainly for weight loss, and there is Mounjaro, which treats both diabetes and obesity. Now, interestingly, Wegovy and Ozempic come from the same pharma company, Novo Nordisk. So, what's the difference? Why two drugs with the same molecule? Well, both contain semaglutide, right? And the same active ingredient that helps lower the blood sugar, and as a side effect of it, it also brings down your weight. But Wegovy uses a higher dose. That's a simplified way of saying that it's been approved in higher dosages here in India and approved for weight loss. Ozempic, on the other hand, is a lower dose, means approved for lower doses, targeted at type 2 diabetes. Now, with this approval, Novo Nordisk now has 2 injectable semaglutide drugs in India, plus their oral semaglutide pill as well, that's already available in India since January of 2022. The launch of this, remember, this is just an approval, that means it's not out in the market just yet. The launch will happen soon. But with this, we have another drug now, another treatment option available for millions of Indians managing diabetes and its long-term complications. But how are you and I to sort of see this news? We've now done multiple stories on GLP-1 drugs and what they do. But let's try and take this Ozempic story forward with Dr. Rajesh Rajput joining us. He's the Director for Endocrinology and Diabetes at the Medanta, Gurgaon. Dr. Rajput, thank you so much for your time. The confusion about so many drugs which have practically the same molecule, practically the same composition, sometimes from the same pharma company as well, but come under different names and is for different use. Can you simplify this for our audiences, please?
Right. So thank you very much for inviting me. Now, to understand and simplify this confusion which you are asking, we have to just go back into the history. Now, see, semaglutide as a molecule initially was researched in a clinical trial program, which is known as SUSTAIN program. Now, based on SUSTAIN program, where the dosage of semaglutide used is 0.25 milligram, 0.5 milligram, and 1 milligram, the drug got approval from US FDA for treatment of type 2 diabetes, irrespective of your BMI. See, here BMI is not here, irrespective of your BMI, in 2017. So it is 2017 when Ozempic got approval for type 2 diabetes by US FDA.
Got it.
But then as the drug was researched, it was found that it also results, the usage also results in large number of weight loss, good degree of weight loss. So the research continues, and for weight loss, there is a clinical trial program, which is known as STEP clinical trial program. I was part of STEP clinical trial program from India. And based on STEP 1 clinical trial program, in 2021, in a dose of 1.7 and 2.4 milligram, the drug got approval from US FDA for management of obesity. That is those people who are having BMI more than 30 or more than 27 with one or the other comorbidities like hypertension, dyslipidemia, and diabetes. So frankly, two clinical trial programs were done at different parts in the history. The drug for diabetes was launched in 2017. Drug for obesity was launched in 2021 by US FDA approvals. And then to avoid this confusion and to keep the things simplified, because the indications
got
for
it.
use
Yeah.
is different.
Yeah.
So in
Dr.
US, the regulatory,
Dr. Rajput, you're
there are two
basically
names
saying,
for,
you're basically
yeah.
saying that Hyundai and Toyota, the engine is the same, it's just under two different brands.
Maruti and
Similarly,
Toyota, not Hyundai, Maruti and Toyota.
Maruti and Toyota, thank you so much for correcting me and my auto knowledge over there. So Maruti and Toyota have both the same engine but come under different brand names. It's basically that. So people now have to, I think another news point out of this, which has perhaps been missed out in other reports, has been that this is perhaps for the first time the drug controller has mentioned heart and kidney issues as to be used for a GLP-1 drug. That's happened for the first time?
No, already the drug has approval from US FDA. Again, it is based on Sustain 6 program and Flow trial clinical program. Now, you know, in these two important trials, patient of type 2 diabetes who have established cardiovascular disease, or in Flow trial, patients of type 2 diabetes with established chronic kidney disease were studied. And when semaglutide Ozempic in a dose of 0.25, 0.5 and 1 milligram is used, the results are very promising. In SUSTAIN program, the 3-point MACE, MACE stands for Major Adverse Cardiovascular Event, it is reduced by around 26%. And the NNT, that is number needed to treat, is only 45, which means you need to treat 45 patients for 2 years to prevent one MACE event. Similarly, in Flow trial, the benefit is by 24%, which means if patients who were given Ozempic, they have reduced risk of progression to ESRD, that is end-stage renal disease, or requirement for dialysis, or reduction of eGFR by more than 50%, or CV death. So these are very hard endpoints. So the drug has got benefit, and that's why the regulators have given approval.
Got Dr. Rajput, last question then. If somebody who's looking at treating diabetes with GLP-1, how much does the brand really matter? How much should they be thinking, should I go for Ozempic, should I go for Wegovy, should I go for, Manjaro?
See, as a doctor, it is our duty to choose a brand is not important. For us, what is important is a drug, the molecule. Now, we are going to choose a molecule based on evidence which has been generated with that molecule. So say, for example, I will simplify this. I will see a patient of type 2 diabetes who has already suffered myocardial infarction, which means heart attack. Now, patient is also having diabetes. Now, I have to choose a drug. Then, based on that data, I am going to choose Ozempic based on data. Similarly, based on Flow clinical trial, if patient is having an eGFR of less than 60, presence of micro or macroalbuminuria, type 2 diabetes, and patient is already receiving standard of care for management of CKD and diabetes, then probably it's time we should also add Ozempic in those patients.
Got it.
Because of the hard endpoints, benefits, which has been shown with Ozempic in these trials. So it is duty of the doctor actually to find out who is the right patient for which molecule, and even within the same molecule, which name or which brand.
That's right. And I think the key takeaway for anybody watching is that please don't self-prescribe. Please go to an endocrinologist if you're curious about this and you want to understand more. Please do not ask your dermats for aesthetically wanting to take GLP-1. Please don't ask your dentist. Please don't ask anybody else. They don't know. Ask your endocrinologist. That's very important. We leave it there for the moment. Thank you so much, Dr. Shukla, for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
All right, moving on to some more health news. Worrying one coming in this time. Mysterious death of 14 children in just 30 days. This isn't making headlines yet, but it should. In the past 1 month, 14 children under the age of 15 have died after being admitted to hospitals in Nagpur, Maharashtra, and in Chhindwara, Madhya Pradesh. The cause? Still unclear. The doctors are calling it Acute Encephalitis Syndrome, AES, a diagnosis often used when the brain suddenly becomes inflamed or stops functioning without any confirmed trigger. Now, here's what we know about this so far. Now, these children arrived with high fever and quickly deteriorated, some within 24 hours. Most went into acute renal failure, producing no urine. Several required dialysis and ventilator support. 6 of the deaths were from paralysis and from paresthesia block in Chhindwara, which is now being treated as a high alert zone. And all the children between 3 and 10 years old were the ones who were found to be infected by it. CSF and blood tests have ruled out any known bacterial or any viral infection as well. And as of now, the NIV, that's National Institute of Virology in Pune, and the NCDC, that's the National Center for Disease Control, have sent teams to that hotspot area to investigate and see what exactly is going on. Surveillance is being stepped up in rural Vidarbha and nearby districts as well. Admitted to also at Nagpur's hospital in similar condition. Doctors have begun classifying some of the newer cases as acute sort of encephalopathy, and rather than classical encephalitis in this case, and subtle but more important difference that affects how these children are treated. But here's what we don't know. No exact cause has been identified, no known pathogen, no toxin known, or any environment trigger that has been confirmed. Whether this is a new infection agent or poisoning or some environmental environmental cause, that's also under investigation. Why this is happening now, why it's affecting, otherwise healthy young children, we don't know. Whether there are any milder or undetected cases in the community, we don't know. Whether this is contained or if this could spread to other districts or states, we don't know. So a lot of unanswered questions, and people are losing kids, young kids are dying. Like I said, 14 kids in just 30 days. That's a worrying number. Let's cut across to Dr. Nihar Parikh now joining us. He's a pediatrician and director for Cheers Childcare. Dr. Parikh, very worrying news. Encephalitis, I thought that was largely a UP problem. I've reported from Gorakhpur for years to understand how it goes. It's a terrible disease. It generally spread across UP and Bihar, but in this area we hadn't heard of this. What is your basic understanding of what's going on?
So the understanding is still, we know what is causing we know the symptoms of the disease, but we don't know what is causing the disease. We don't know whether it's a viral, we don't know if it's a bacterial, we don't know if it's infectious or non-infectious. Non-infectious comes into the category of an autoimmune phenomena, where a child's body recovers from an infection, but the body fights an infection much more aggressively than it should, and then technically starts hammering different blood vessels of the different parts of the body, causing multi-organ involvement, starting with the brain, kidneys, and everything. So, because what I read also and found out also that the tests that they did, the blood cultures, draining the fluid off the spine, checking for infections, has come clear for bacterial and viral. So still we don't have evidence whether it's an infective pathology or a non-infective pathology, which goes in the favor of an autoimmune. But what is important, and a takeaway message for all parents, is that the minute the child has fever, if there are rashes followed by fever, if there is lethargy, giddiness, drowsiness, persistent vomiting where the child is not able to retain, they should not sit at home. And keeping in mind this AES like picture, they should show their pediatrician immediately, because the most important thing is the diagnosis of AES in time and getting the right medication to reduce the pressure in the brain.
Yes. Dr. Parikh, because this disease is now localized, it's happening in similar areas spread across the border, doesn't that tell us about the kind of infection it could be?
So again, it goes in two favors, because this can be a viral or bacterial, and we have not pinpointed. Plus, National Institute of Virology is already on it. So soon we should find the cause, which is extremely important. But it's otherwise next to impossible to find out whether it is a post-infection phenomena, like a random infection causing this as a complication, or the actual infection causing it. But isolating it, finding the cause of it, pinning it down to a bacterial or viral is of the key and the most important next step, which the people have reached there. The team, the task force is there, and we should have an answer in the next 24 to 48 hours.
And we'll keep a tap on those answers as well. Just because the story is not happening in Delhi and Mumbai doesn't mean we shouldn't be worried about it. We should care about every child. Encephalitis largely is not a rich man's problem, largely said, but we should still keep an eye for it. Thank you, Dr. Parekh, for joining us with all those details.
No problem.
All right, with that, we've come towards the end, but this is Ashtami. India is lighting up with color, devotion and the dance as Durga Puja celebrations take center stage today, from the spectacular pandals and idol immersion that honor the feminine divinity. We leave you with the sights and sounds of one of India's grandest festive season, and it's just getting started.